Ready to discover new music? Midwest Music Fest is heading back to La Crosse at 6 indoor venues, all located right downtown on November 3rd and 4th. With over 60 bands, you're sure to discover new music you'll love. Tickets are on sale now at MidwestMusicFest.org. Prevention is the key to a healthy life. That's why Gunderson Health encourages you to learn about vaccines and how they can help you and your loved ones stay healthy. Vaccines protect against preventable diseases and viruses by boosting your body's defenses. Visit GundersonHealthFacts.com to learn more. The Sandbars Storytelling Festival promotes the art of storytelling for all ages. Enjoy exciting performances throughout this 3-day festival, October 12th through the 14th in Winona, Minnesota. Find out why the returning headliner, Bill Lepp, is back by popular demand. Get your tickets at sandbarstorytellingfestival.org. We hopped on a call with musician Caley Conway to dive deep into her latest EP, Only a Dark Cocoon. It turns out there's quite an interesting backstory to its creation. During our conversation, we also explored the realms of songwriting, recording, and the art of performing. Don't miss the chance to catch Caley Conway live in La Crosse, Wisconsin at the upcoming Midwest Music Fest this November. You can find more conversations at lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is La Crosse Local.
Only a phase. Hiding down bottles in dark cafes. Dark cafes. Only a phase.
My name is Caley Conway. I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I currently live. And I think what led me to music was, I think I was just naturally guided there by my parents, really, who signed me up for piano lessons along with my sisters and my cousins before I was in school. So I learned to read music sort of like at the same time, if not before I was learning to read.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that's not to say that I'm like currently very fluent in sheet music. But like for an elementary level, you're just learning like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, the major scale. So piano lessons and Irish dance, they put me into, which I really enjoyed. And then both my parents play a little bit of guitar. So we had a piano at home, we had guitars at home. And so I was able to just like safely tinker around. I learned, I think, a really good rhythmic foundation through the dance background that I had. And just like learning piano as a kid was pretty invaluable, I think, because then when it came time to join like band, I was able to learn the saxophone without too much trouble, quit that. But I continued with guitar like ever since middle school because I thought it was really fun. There's endless possibilities and it's pretty friendly for like all levels of skill.
So was there like music in the house? You mentioned reference Irish music, but was there stuff constantly like playing in the house, or how did that work?
Yeah, my parents would play records and CDs a lot. And like I remember very fondly like listening to music on road trips, including some like Irish music that my dad would play. So yeah, it was always just kind of there, but I feel like I absorbed it most potently like when we'd be on road trips.
Was there any favorite albums that are just on repeat then?
Well, some big ones I remember from the road trips were like Aretha Franklin stuff, Alanis Morissette, and my dad would play like the Clancy Brothers, which are like an Irish singing group, and Annie Lennox. Those are some of the biggest ones where I just remember like cruising through the Wisconsin countryside and jamming out to that stuff, like per my parents' influence.
So kind of checking out your music over the last couple of days, I saw the latest EP on there, Only a Dark Cocoon.
Mhm.
It kind of has an interesting backstory to it. Can you share that?
Yeah, so I call it a concept EP because it is, for as many times as I've like explained this concept, it's still difficult every time. But the EP aims to rework, deconstruct, reimagine this one Joni Mitchell song called The Last Time I Saw Richard, which is off of her album Blue. It's the closing track on it. And that's all just piano and vocals, that song of Joni Mitchell's. And I've always been really fascinated by it. I always come back to it when I'm writing. You know, if I can't think of anything, I'm just always sort of seeing if I can whip up a cover of it, which has never been fully successful. So I just know it really well. And I made 3 songs out of that one song, but my 3 songs are extremely different. They're their own sonic universe. And they sort of lift from her song, basically all of the lyrics. And I tried to maintain each of those lyrics melody as it was as much as possible, and then sort of retrofit it into my sonic landscapes. And they are not necessarily in order, so it's kind of like collaged a little bit. And so I feel I sort of broke down her song and reconstructed it in ways that tell 3 different stories that may or may not necessarily be congruent with the narrator of the Joni Mitchell song. It's sort of open to interpretation.
So seeing that recent, I guess it was a year ago, the Newport Folk Festival kind of renewed my interest in Joni Mitchell. It really kind of blew my mind in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something you've always been a fan of hers? Is it something you're always, like you said, you're always coming back to? And how was that experience watching that?
Oh,
Was
yeah.
that-
Well, I've been a fan of hers since high school. It was my high school boyfriend that got me into her. And she's always been a really strong influence of mine because that was around the time when I started realizing, oh, I could accompany myself while singing on the guitar, and started singing and playing more. And then I realized, like, oh, I could just write songs and then they're fully there. All I need is an acoustic guitar and my voice and what I want to say. And then I used her as a guide because, like, one of the first public shows I ever played was my boyfriend at the time and I did a tribute to her for his high school talent show or something. So the way that I sort of learned to sing or tried to sing well was by trying to emulate her voice. So she's really been very instructional to me since high school. The Newport Folk Festival thing, mainly I was seeing footage through the Instagram posts and stories of my friends Shanti and Monique Ross of Sista Strings, who they were on stage at the time with her because they play in Brandi Carlisle's band in her string section. And so, yeah, that was absolutely wild to witness from home. I didn't know, I think it was a surprise that she was going to be there at all for everyone. So I had no idea that was coming. And then their band was like covering some Joni Mitchell songs, and then all of a sudden she's there singing, and my friends are close enough to like actually have footage of it happening. So I don't know if what I saw was linear or an accurate chronological depiction of what was going on, but I was just, oh my God. So, I mean, yeah, it was really wild. But it didn't really invigorate any renewed obsession or fascination because I was already pretty deep in it at the time. I would have been probably mixing this EP, and yeah, I was just a goner already.
So you kind of referenced it there, thinking about your voice and just having the guitar. What is your writing, recording style? Do you write pretty quickly, or is it something that you knock out pretty fast, or does it take some time?
Sometimes it happens quickly, which is my favorite way of having it happen. Yeah. And I hear a lot of songwriters talk about, like, there's some songs that just come within 20 minutes, the whole thing is written. And that hasn't happened for me in a while, but sometimes it does. And that always feels really good. That doesn't mean that the recording happens that quickly or that the production idea is fully there. So sometimes I'll have to force myself to write something. I get a lot of ideas on the guitar. I'll get riff ideas, chord progression ideas, and then melodic ideas come pretty easily to me. But if am struggling to tell a story within it lyrically, within the first few minutes of developing that musical idea, I'll tend to give up on it. So I've been trying lately to just casually be making voice memos of these ideas, and then it helps if I'm going to try to force myself to write a song to have a little bit of a foundation. So sometimes I'll be like, okay, Caley, just write the stupidest, most cliche, most terrible thing you could think of in order to get like a stanza. And then from there, usually something gets unlocked, and either the editing brain will kind of come in and be, okay, actually you can make something out of this. Because then again, you're working with more of a found object, which is kind of how I approached the Joni Mitchell concept EP. Was like there was already something there for me to shape and mold. But the production ideas for that song or that EP came together fairly quickly. I think I was working on the music first, and then I was like, well, this is frustrating. I don't have my own idea. So again, my mind glitched back into this song and started pulling from it and laying it over what I was doing and like weaving it in. And so then I was, oh, okay, this could be a trilogy 3-song concept where they all talk to each other and they all talk to and respond to the original song. And then the recording process for that was basically I demoed everything out myself so that like pretty much the whole compositions were created, whether I was playing guitar just direct into my interface or using MIDI instruments or drum tracks. And then I had some of my friends who actually play drums overdub it, drums, some horns, woodwinds. I had them replace the MIDI stuff that I had arranged. So that was a pretty long process, but it was very fluid. And for the most part, it was pretty easy to conceive of how that puzzle was going to work. And from pretty early on, I had decided that I was going to mix it entirely, and I was going to focus on it as a way to keep improving my production skills. And I just wanted full control over how it was going to sound. So that was sort of that process. And I had a lot of help from friends who have more experience in engineering. My friend Josh at Silver City tracked the final drums. Yeah, it was a really great learning experience, and I'm hoping to make more songs in that style.
So how does that translate to your live shows? Just thinking about that, kind of how you've kind of built that song, how does that translate to live shows with live musicians?
Well, it's always a puzzle. I do a lot of solo shows, and the way that I have translated it in my solo set is I use my omnichord, and I have a vocal processor, the VT4, that's on indefinite loan from my little sister. So I have developed sort of a one-man band kind of atmosphere and this was in order to be able to sort of render that EP as full as I possibly could with what I have if I'm playing solo. So I'll create some atmospheric loops. I put the omnichord through pedals and a looping station. So I'm able to create kind of a bed of sound for myself. And then I sampled from one of the songs, the drum beat and the synth arpeggiator. And so I'll play along with that while doing live looping and playing guitar over it, singing through the vocal processor, so you get more atmosphere from vocal harmonies and effects. And for some of the songs, I just play the omnichord entirely, and the omnichord has a drum machine in it. So solo, I'm sort of able to get a one-man band thing going, which has been really fun. And then I did a tour in May where it was like sort of that concept with the addition of my friend Barry Clark, who plays upright bass, and he tracked some bass on this EP for me as well. So that has been really fun because one of the most central parts of the EP for me was the bass lines. That was one of the first things that came to me where I realized I was building something. So it adds so much just to have him going doom, 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 because there's really no way for me to like accompany myself with that. So, and then beyond that core of him and I've sort of just have everyone else orbiting in and out based on what the gig can pay and how many people I can realistically have with me. So my friend Ellie often sings with me. She's brilliant at catching harmonies. So sometimes she'll just slip in and sing, hoping to have her play more omnichord on it. My friend Chris Porterfield is a brilliant guitarist, so he has toured with me on some of this stuff. And then our good friend Devin Drobka is an amazing drummer. So I've done everything from solo to a full band with 6 people. And my partner John plays trumpet on the EP, so he has joined us and will be more. I try to be able to take all the opportunities I can get, and therefore the size of the band waxes and wanes. It is malleable, yes.
So what can people expect from your show at Midwest Music Fest coming up here in November? I mean, both ways sound pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm going to have everybody at Midwest Music Fest. I just kind of want it to be like big, and we're headlining that bill. So in my mind, I just seems like the progression should get more and more intense. And it's just a really awesome opportunity to be able to play with my friends, which is my favorite thing in the world. I love doing solo shows because it's easy and it's consistently the only way that I actually make money, just full disclosure. But it is really what I live for, to play music with my friends, improve as a unit with my friends, and effectively translate like the emotional content of a song with my friends and collaborators. So that's the vision.
So what's coming down the line? Is there anything exciting over the next year that just getting out and playing more? Or is there anything coming up?
Yeah, I have an album that is ready. I think it's going to be completely finished later this week, which is really exciting. And the goal is to put it out on vinyl. And so it's going to be a long process, I'm anticipating. I'm going to try to do the promotion and the marketing of it as best as I possibly can with the resources that I have, try to expand my audience with it if I can, and tour on it as much as possible. I'm working on a tour for February, though I don't know if it's going to be out yet. I've started conceiving of a music video or 2 with a filmmaker. That's going to be what I'm gearing up to like have consume my focus. So hopefully you will be hearing a lot about that over the next year.
So for people to follow along for those updates, what's the best, where are you most active on? Is it the website?
Instagram is where I'm most active. It's just the most instantaneous. It's easiest to communicate with people. So that really is where I would encourage people to go. And please follow my music on Bandcamp and wherever you stream it. The website is caleyconway.com. So that's easy enough to remember. And from there, you can go anywhere, see everything, my music videos, all the links to everything.
All the things. I'm excited for Midwest Music Fest coming up in here in November. So I'll be honored to see you play. I'm excited.
I'm really excited too. I appreciate you having me on and asking such thoughtful questions.
Well, that's good. That's good. Maybe I did okay. So
You did great.
Great. Awesome.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at Lacrosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.